huge win by Alireza, but it was kind of handed to him with this move G5. That was a crazy move.
It was a crazy move. I will say that Alireza's handling of the early middle game, really impressive, the way he got his knight around. You're right, though, Levy. First of all, bishop takes G5, not taking back with the pawn. Then playing the move G5. Pretty panicky reactions there from Magnus Carlsen, and the hometown favorite jumps ahead to a 1-point lead. I think it's time to wrap up the match. There's really no more intrigue.
Yeah, let's go home.
Magnus
French fans?
Yep,
That's
it.
That's it. Alireza wins the match.
People heading toward the exits.
That's crazy. All the fans are exiting.
No,
unfortunately, that's not how it works. You got to beat Magnus over the course of 3 hours.
Oh my gosh, what a game we just saw. Another King's Indian by Alireza. So any King's Indian lovers out there, you are in for a treat as Magnus keeps embracing the challenge, and we will embrace a different kind of challenge and get Danny Wrench onto our big screen. Danny is standing by with some very special segments. Danny, take it away. The floor is yours.
Thanks, Danya. I agree. The fans are in for a treat with this match. And Nolan Arbaugh, Neuralink patient, Ground Zero, you were in for a treat. You got to make the first move of the Speeches Championship final. I know you're a huge fan, man. What was that like?
It was awesome. I'm really grateful to chess.com for reaching out to me and letting me do this. It's kind of a dream of mine to do something like this, so I'm super blessed, and it was great.
What made you choose the move you did, and how much time did you think about it? Were you nervous about which move to make?
Yeah, I've been thinking about it for weeks. I decided to go with the Bong Cloud for the memes. That's about it, yeah.
Nice. All right, well, you look great, by the way.
Thank you so much. Thanks, man. You look good, too.
How's been the trip so far? Just last thoughts on the Speeches Championship, the live finals, the fans, this whole thing. And your thoughts on the trip to Paris and maybe also the match?
Yeah, it's definitely been one of the highlights of my year. I'm so glad I get to be here. The match is, it's super exciting.
You're rooting for Magnus, right? You're a Magnus fan.
I am. But I don't know. It's going to be close. They're both in great form, so we'll see what happens.
Nolan rooting for Magnus to maybe level things up here. I know the fans in Paris, we don't want them to know that upstairs. They might not feel the same way. But all right, we're going to throw it back upstairs to Danya and Levy to take it away as we've got another game in full swing here. Maybe Magnus going to level things up at the end of this one. Danya, take it away.
Well, thank you, Danny, and thank you, Nolan, once again for everything. I'm glad that you were off the mic because we don't need anybody here knowing who's a Magnus fan and who's a Firouzja fan. But, of course, big shout-out to Nolan for bringing so much attention to chess, for everything that he's done, and just for being an awesome guy. Levy, in the meantime, not much has happened on this board.
But for the second time in a row, we've got a rook on d6 causing havoc.
Yeah, I mean, Magnus is letting Alireza have havoc because bishop c4 is coming, and we saw the same structure earlier, but this bishop on g4, there is no bishop on g4. There is no bishop, and there is no access to the d4 square.
What's funny is I feel they're getting a very similar structure from kind of different openings. Like there's always like a d takes e5 type of thing happening, and then there's always like an open d file, but it's coming different ways. Like b6 feels like a move you play after you take a one-game lead against Magnus. You just kind of like, I'm playing with house money. Whatever happens in this game, it's back to an even match.
I think Magnus, to your point, had exactly the same structure in an Italian with pawns on c6, b6, and I want to say a5. I'm looking at moves like bishop to a6. It's clear what he's trying to do. He wants to get this rook off his back, but even dropping the rook back to d1 might already have made the trip worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you weaken the structure. And we have to remember, pawns can't go backwards. This is textbook stuff. You make a move forward, the opponent reacts, and you're like, nope, just kidding, I'm going backwards, and I've weakened your structure, and I'm going to feast. This is a two-bishop position of a dream.
Oh, it absolutely is. You could see g3 and bishop h3. The great thing about a move like rook to d1 is that if black pushes b5, not only could the rook come back to d6, like, all right, resume our previous positions, but you could have a move like a4 to carve out this lovely little developing square for white's bishop.
Or the knight, d2, c4, like in the Benoni.
Man, there's ideas everywhere. Magnus is trying to extract the maximum from this position. He senses that this is his moment.
Oh, and it
takes on f4.
I mean, it very well could work, but it does feel a little impatient by a guy who is known for his patience. By the way, what was that? There was like something else besides taking back on f4? Why did the computer not like black taking back on f4?
Could there have been b takes c5 instead?
Oh my God.
Did I show that?
Yeah, I think you should.
Let's bring up an analysis board. In this position, how many of us would pre-move e takes f4? Everyone in this room. There's one guy who's like, no, I would have played BC.
Yeah, actually, he would have just hung his queen, but the rook is hanging for a moment.
And if queen takes c5, there's another intervet, so knight e6. Can't take it because the queen hangs. That's what that person would have done.
Yes.
Queen
Who
to
are we
A3,
insulting,
knight
by the way? Is
F4.
just the phantom in the audience?
A phantom in the opera. Or that's nearby phantom in the audience.
Yes,
and
indeed.
black is pretty much fine here. Let's see how the game went instead. He took, allowing this pawn to inch forward, Levy. And now it's the hour of the light squared bishop, because look at what it's doing to black's kingside. How impressive is this for white?
This is looking for. I mean, can you just double up, or is there like with the queen maybe?
You won. You have a good move.
Yeah, queen d. I also like queen d3, queen d2. Queen d2 hits the pawn on a5 and f4. I mean, this is like the worst position ever. Like what can you even do here?
Black is up a pawn, the most irrelevant piece of information ever. There could be some tactics. Queen d2, bishop takes c5, but
Rook d8.
rook d8 and rook e5, white wins, and maybe that's what he's calculating. He's played queen d2, good call, partner. G5 played by Alireza.
Yeah, I mean, I might as well. Might as well.
Ali Levy.
Yeah. I remember there was a commentary. You kept calling me
Wesley.
yes.
I did it again recently.
Like
you were not on commentary, but I called you Wesley.
Well, I mean, thank you, but please don't tell him that. G5. So now what do we do? Yeah, just stage 3.
Maybe I already know that you called me by my name, and I like it.
That's a fantastic. Okay,
Whoa.
I thought rook g6 just hung material, but
Rook d1 instead, tripling on the d file, attacking the rook on d8. If it moves, you can play rook takes g6. If it takes, the pawn replaces it. Blech.
Oh, this is nasty stuff. The queen is also going to infiltrate on the light squares, like queen d3, queen a5, of course. Yeah, we're going to take that. We're going to take on c5. That's probably the most practical thing. Then you have an outside pass pawn.
This is reminding me of the previous game, sort of with colors reversed. It's Alireza who was sort of outplaying Magnus, and then at some point Magnus got impatient. Here, Alireza had that chance to play b takes c5, and once he missed it, it seems like this game is a foregone conclusion. If you're allowing d7 and queen d6, you lose. I think queen d7 is necessary.
If you allow any of it, you lose. I mean, I think Alireza is almost taking time off the clock. He's d7, queen d6. Every move wins for white.
Yeah, and Magnus, very careful here. He knows, you squander a game like this, and suddenly Alireza has a lot of momentum. Can you believe that almost an hour has passed from the match clock already?
Now,
move.
This match was predicted to be a 2-game lead for Magnus after the 5+1. That was estimated to be his best portion of the match. And so far, Alireza's held his own, so I think it's a good sign. I think as they speed up, they're both going to get more into the zone and have less of these weird lulls. Like you see here, Alireza down 2 minutes with a very bad position. Sometimes 5-1 is the most difficult format to play because they literally don't play it, except in this event.
Yeah. It's just, and nobody even plays 5+0 anymore. That used to be a popular time control, but now 3+0 is the order of the day. I mean, if you say that you're a 5-minute player, you're like Rip Van Winkle. You fell asleep in the 1990s.
Rook e7 resigns or what?
Oh, that's lovely, because queen e7, de, and then the pawn promotes.
Bishop takes f7 now.
And then Magnus' move is something like queen e4, just establishing his presence, laying down the wood.
Yep. No, it's just over. I'm kind of shocked he hasn't played bishop f7. Maybe he's looking at something more vicious, like rook e8, which is a positional disaster, completely dominating the 8th rank.
Yeah, I mean, the restraint to avoid taking on f7. Maybe he's looking for a more beautiful victory, but I don't think this is the time in the match to try to please the fans. I think he's pleasing the fans already with everything he's offered us this weekend.
Why has he not taken the pawn with check? I don't get. Is there something better here? It's just
you could even play queen e4 right away because this pawn isn't really going anywhere.
I guess, yeah. But what? What are we doing here? I don't know.
But bishop f7 does feel very, very tempting, followed by something like queen e4. And Magnus savoring the moment.
I have nothing else to say about this position. There's a pawn hanging with a check, and it's not a bad move. You can
now, Levy, you were right, though. I think rook to e8.
All right, yeah, you were going to say rook e8 was +5, but this is +4. Oh, how dare he.
But you want to know why rook e8 was +5? Let me show really quickly as Magnus puts the finishing touches on this game. Instead of rook takes d7, not here, in this position, rook e8 created a crazy threat of queen to g6.
Wow, the double pin.
This is why I had to show this line. And what does this threaten? This threatens knight e5, a triple pin, because you can't take the knight either, because the doubly pinned queen is pinning the bishop. How did Magnus miss this? I don't know.
No, I think he might have seen it, but what am I doing? Just play the normal thing.
Ooh, mate threat on g8, d7 now.
Queen g8, sack the queen to promote.
No, this is just a disaster. This is not the best advertisement for the King's Indian, but maybe it has something to do with who's playing white.
Yeah, but also the previous game was nice. He won.
Wait a second. D7, a slightly sloppy move. I think Magnus might have been relying on knight e5 here.
But it should
Which
work.
should work.
I mean, it's knight e5 takes, and then I mean, when the freaking pawn's on d7, like, you got to be winning, but...
But Alireza's threatening queen takes d7 because he has the g8 square under control. You could play a move like queen to d6 to meet queen takes d7 with queen f8, but Magnus taking more of his time. If Alireza can get this down to a time scramble, he gives himself an outside chance of doing the unimaginable.
If Alireza Firouzja saves this game, I will be speechless.
And the bishop can slide up to e6. It's not the quantity of passed pawns, it is the quality.
Yes, but queen can come back, and the fact that black's pawns are doubled makes it even worse.
I'm really impressed with Alireza's defensive skill here. The fact that this game is still going, that Magnus has 20 seconds on his clock, it just doesn't feel as confident as we're used to him seeing converting these positions.
That's really the story. Alireza has been very sharp defensively, but I do sense hesitancy from Magnus more than anything else.
King f8, trying to get the king involved.
Queen c5, let's kick it away. Yeah, queen c5, and let's start taking
Get out of here. He takes c6, threatening queen c8.
It's over. Queen c8 is... Okay, but he takes on g4, but I mean, okay, queen c5
Another
and queen
check
c8.
on c5.
c5 and
I
queen
said,
c8.
get out of here.
Yes.
The commentators are Levy and Daniel,
it
not
is.
the king on g7.